Chapter 5, The Dark Forest. Lyra and her allies journeyed through the vast, dense forest, their footsteps muffled by the thick layer of leaves and moss on the ground. It was a treacherous journey, and they had to remain alert at all times, for danger lurked around every corner. As they trudged on, Lyra noticed that the trees grew denser, and the darkness of the forest deepened. She sensed a powerful force emanating from deep within the woods, beckoning her forth. Lyra knew that this was where they would find the source of the darkness they were trying to eradicate. With renewed determination, they continued their journey, moving ever deeper into the heart of the forest. The air grew heavy with the scent of decay, and the trees twisted and gnarled like wicked claws reaching out to grasp them. Suddenly, a group of dark, shadowy creatures emerged from the shadows, their eyes gleaming with malice. Lyra and her allies quickly drew their weapons, ready to fight for their lives. The battle was fierce, and Lyra found herself calling upon all the magic at her disposal to defeat their foes. Her allies fought with equal ferocity, and together they managed to overcome the dark creatures. With the way clear, they continued on, their footsteps echoing through the dense forest. As they approached the source of the darkness, Lyra could feel her magic intensifying, almost as if the forest itself was trying to stop her from reaching her destination. But Lyra was undeterred. She knew that this was the moment she had been preparing for all her life, and she would not let anything stand in her way. As they drew closer to the source, the darkness grew stronger, almost suffocating in its intensity. Lyra's heart raced as she stepped forward, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Suddenly, a voice boomed through the forest, shaking the very ground beneath their feet. "Who dares enter my domain?" it thundered. "You will never leave this place alive." Lyra drew upon all her courage and stepped forward, ready to face the source of the darkness head-on. She knew that the fate of the world hung in the balance, and she would do whatever it took to protect it. Lyra stood before the source of the darkness, her heart racing in her chest. The voice that had spoken before was coming from deep within the forest, and she couldn't see anything in the darkness ahead. "Who are you?" she called out, her voice strong and unwavering. "I am the darkness that has plagued your world for centuries," the voice replied. "And you, Lyra, are the one who seeks to destroy me." Lyra's eyes narrowed as she drew upon her magic, ready to face whatever lay ahead. "I will not let you destroy the world," she said firmly. "I will defeat you, no matter what it takes." With those words, the source of the darkness emerged from the shadows. It was a massive, shadowy creature, with eyes that glowed like burning coals. Its power was palpable, and Lyra could feel the force of it bearing down upon her. But she refused to back down. With a cry of determination, she charged forward, her magic blazing around her. The battle was fierce, with Lyra and the creature trading blow for blow. But slowly, Lyra began to gain the upper hand. She channeled her magic with all her might, unleashing a powerful blast that rocked the forest to its core. With a final cry of triumph, Lyra stood victorious, her magic glowing around her in a brilliant display of power. The source of the darkness lay defeated at her feet, and the forest around her began to slowly fade away, replaced by bright sunlight and clear skies. Lyra turned to her allies, her heart full of gratitude. "We did it," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "We defeated the darkness and saved the world." Her allies cheered and congratulated her, their faces filled with relief and joy. Lyra knew that they still had a long journey ahead of them, but she was filled with a sense of hope and purpose that she had never felt before. Together, they turned and began the journey back to their homeland, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As Lyra and her allies journeyed back to their homeland, they were filled with a sense of triumph and hope. The defeat of the darkness had been a hard-fought victory, but they had emerged stronger and more determined than ever. But their joy was short-lived. As they neared the border of their homeland, they found themselves facing a new threat. The land was barren and lifeless, with blackened earth and twisted trees stretching as far as the eye could see. Lyra felt a shiver run down her spine as she realized what had happened. "This is the work of the Dark Lord," she said grimly. He must have sensed our victory and retaliated against us. Her allies nodded in agreement, their faces grim. They knew that the Dark Lord was a powerful enemy, with legions of dark creatures at his command. But they also knew that they had to try and stop him, no matter the cost. Lyra closed her eyes and took a deep breath, calling upon her magic to guide her. She felt a surge of power within her, and she knew that she was ready to face whatever lay ahead. Together, they set out towards the Dark Lord's stronghold, their hearts filled with determination and a sense of purpose. They knew that the road ahead would be long and difficult, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As they journeyed deeper into the heart of darkness, Lyra could feel the power of the Dark Lord growing stronger with every step. But she refused to be intimidated. With each passing moment, she grew more determined to stop him, no matter the cost. Finally, they arrived at the Dark Lord's stronghold. It was a massive, forbidding fortress, with walls that seemed to stretch up to the sky. Lyra and her allies stood before the gates, ready to face whatever lay ahead. With a deep breath, Lyra raised her hand and called upon her magic. The gates creaked open, and they stepped inside, ready for the final battle. Lyra and her allies moved cautiously through the Dark Lord's stronghold, their senses on high alert. They encountered various dark creatures along the way, but with their combined strength, they were able to defeat them easily. As they approached the heart of the fortress, Lyra could feel the power of the Dark Lord growing stronger. She knew that they were getting close to their goal, and that the final battle was fast approaching. They came to a large chamber, where the Dark Lord was waiting for them. He was a towering figure, clad in black armor and wielding a massive sword. His eyes blazed with an otherworldly fire, and Lyra could feel his power radiating off him in waves. "You have come far, little witch," he said, his voice filled with malice. "But your journey ends here." Lyra stood firm, her hand clenched around her staff. "I will not let you destroy our world," she said defiantly. The Dark Lord laughed, a sound that sent chills down Lyra's spine. "You are a fool, girl. You cannot defeat me." But Lyra refused to back down. She raised her staff and called upon the power of the elements, summoning a fierce storm of wind and rain that engulfed the chamber. The Dark Lord laughed again, but Lyra could see fear in his eyes. She knew that they had him on the ropes. As the storm raged around them, Lyra and her allies launched a fierce attack. They fought with all their might, using their skills and magic to push back the Dark Lord and his minions. At last, after what seemed like hours, the battle was won. The Dark Lord lay defeated, his power broken. Lyra stood victorious, her heart filled with a sense of triumph and relief. The journey had been long and difficult, but they had emerged victorious. As they made their way back to their homeland, Lyra knew that they had much work to do. The land was still scarred by the Dark Lord's magic, and it would take time to heal. But for the first time in a long time, Lyra felt a sense of hope for the future. She knew that with her allies by her side, they could face any challenge that lay ahead. Lyra and her allies stood in the aftermath of their victory over the Dark Lord. The storm had cleared, and the chamber was now filled with an eerie silence. Lyra looked around at her companions, feeling a sense of gratitude and relief. They had fought bravely, and without them, she knew that they would not have been able to defeat the Dark Lord. As they made their way back through the stronghold, Lyra's mind began to wander. She thought about all that had happened on their journey, and the sacrifices that had been made. She thought about the people they had met along the way, and the lessons they had learned. She knew that their journey had changed them all, and that they were not the same people they had been when they had first set out. As they emerged from the stronghold and into the forest beyond, Lyra could see the first rays of dawn breaking through the trees. It was a beautiful sight, and she knew that it was a sign of hope for the future. They made their way back to their homeland, and Lyra could see the devastation that had been wrought by the Dark Lord's magic. But she also saw signs of new growth and renewal, and knew that the land would heal in time. As they approached their village, they were met by a crowd of people. They cheered and applauded as Lyra and her allies entered the village, and Lyra felt a surge of pride and gratitude. She knew that their journey had been long and difficult, but it had been worth it. They had saved their world from the grip of darkness, and they had emerged stronger for it. As Lyra and her companions were welcomed back as heroes, she knew that their journey was far from over. There would always be new challenges and dangers to face, but she was confident that they would face them together, with courage and determination.